So Wink Martindale spoke today, and when Wink Martindale speaks, I listen. Dropped a lot of good gems, kept it very, very honest like Wink Martindale does all the time, keeps it really real. That's one thing about Wink Martindale. He is going to keep it real 100% of the time, and I always appreciate Wink Martindale for that. But you know what? Before we get into that, before we get into these talking points, I want to say this. If this is not your first time here and you are a New York Giants fan and you have not subscribed to the channel, go ahead and check right now. If you didn't, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, man. This channel is a movement for the New York Giants fan. If you're a fanatic for the New York Giants, like I'm a fanatic for the New York Giants, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, like and share, and let's get back to business. Okay, so Wink Martindale spoke today, and again, he had a lot of jewels. Talked about a lot of things, and shout out to the beat writers for asking some good questions also. So first off, right off the bat, they're going to ask Wink Martindale about moving Adoree Jackson to the slot. How real is it? You know, what's going on? Could this be a real thing? You've been toying around with it, this, that, and the third. And we know what Wink said. He said, it's all about putting the best players on the field. Get my best three corners on the field. And he believes that right now, those three is what he said. Those three. He's talking about Deonte Banks. He's talking about Trey Hawkins. And he's talking about Adoree Jackson have earned the reps and are the best three corners on the team. That says a lot. That's very, very high praise for a guy like Trey Hawkins, especially when another cornerback that was drafted higher than him last year, and Cordell Flott is sitting there trying to make plays. Where you have a veteran on the team like Darnay Holmes, and we already know how you feel about Darnay Holmes. I understand. I'm just saying that's a lot to say at the podium today. And again, Wink dropping jewels. Now, he was also asked about the linebacker competition, and he said right now, today, Micah McFadden is leading in that competition to be the linebacker next to Bobby Okereke. And for me, I'm like, as much as I bang the table for Darian Beavers, and I still do, because I still think he is the better player. Right now, because he hasn't had the reps on the field, as far as us as fans have we seen, I can understand why Micah McFadden is leading in that competition. And that's what Wink said. He didn't say he had, he said he was leading. To me, that means if Darian Beavers goes out on Friday and has a monster game against the Carolina Panthers, next week we might see Darian Beavers leading in that competition. So again, shout out to Wink Martindale for keeping it real. They asked him another question about Jordan Riley, and they asked him pretty much like Jordan Riley was able to get those reps because of all the injuries and guys and sitting players. He said, no, stop. Jordan Riley earned those reps. Now, I think a little bit of that is cap, because you did sit a little bit of players, or you did sit some of those defensive front players. You did do that. Jordan Riley was up on the list. Jordan Riley had a fantastic debut in the preseason, did exactly what nose tackles are supposed to do, to the point where DJ Davidson said, you know what, I got to get off the PUP list. I got to get off this PUP list before Jordan Riley takes my roster spot. But you know what? It might be too late. It might be too late. Maybe. It might be too late for that. But you still got a shot, DJ Davidson. Do your thing. But Jordan Riley had a hell of a showing. And did exactly what nose tackles are supposed to do. And it looks like he needs to be in that rotation, you know. And again, we're talking about maybe the fourth, the fifth defensive tackle, you know, in the room. So, no, it is what it is. I do believe that it's a battle between DJ Davidson and Jordan Riley about who gets that last spot, you know, in the room. But we'll see what's going on there. He also talked about safety Dane Belton, or they asked him a question about safety Dane Belton. And just yesterday when I did that video, and I said, finally, Dane Belton has decided to wake up and make some plays. Wink Martindale said kind of the same thing, pretty much just saying he was happy to see that Dane Belton was able to make these plays, saying he's finally healthy. You know, through mini camp, OTAs, he wasn't really healthy. He wasn't participating. Now that he's got his feet under him, you know, you can see what this guy brings to the table. Now, again, it got a little rocky for me for a little bit. You know, I was penciling in Dane Belton at the beginning of training camp, and then Pinnock started having some very good practices, stringing those practices together, then had some big plays and things like that. He's making highlight reels and all this other stuff with the one-handed interception and all that. But listen, it's still a real competition between Dane Belton and Jason Pinnock. If you ask me today, of course I'm going Pinnock first because I've seen more this offseason, but you can't tell me if Dane Belton don't get another two turnovers in the Carolina Panthers game that it goes from being Jason Pinnock, Dane Belton to pretty much even going into the season. And again, you really would like these positions to be solidified, weeks prior to the season starts, but it's just so much good competition going on, and pretty much nobody can run away with it outside of Trey Hawkins. Trey Hawkins seems to be running away with that third corner spot. But between the linebacker, the safety, the rotation at the defensive line, it's still a lot of things going on. Now that brings me to another point about things going on the offensive side, because Kafka also had a presser today, and they talked about the wide receiver competition going on. Beasley was actually hurt today. He was on the side. And, you got Wandell on the side. Shep coming back off injury slowly. Jamison Crowder getting mixed in. Then you have your core guys like your Paris Campbell, your Isaiah Hodges. Both had very good days today. You got Jalen Hyatt, who's looking like he's a breakout star in the making. And you're just wondering. What's going on with this offensive line, man? No matter how we talk about these receivers, how good Daniel Jones is looking, the running back room rotation, things like that, it all boils down to the offensive line. And shout out to JMS for being as advertised. You follow me on this channel, I've been a big advocate of John Michael Schmitz even before we drafted him. I was ready to take that kid at 25 and was killed for it. And now you see so far that he is as good as advertised. Again, we'll see a lot more this Friday against the starters, but he's looking like the real deal, looking like the best offensive lineman outside of Andrew Thomas already. Now I'm going to bring it back to focus. So I'm thinking about Joshua Zoodle, Ben Bredesen, Mark Lewinsky. There was a nice heated debate on Twitter regarding the proper development of these young offensive linemen, and if in fact we have the right people in place to develop these players. And I said, there's definitely smoke. I might not see the fire right now, but there's definitely smoke in this situation. Like, Joshua Zoodle has fantastic feet. Came out of college with fantastic feet. We had this discussion earlier in the spaces. And but he seems to be struggling with the same issues that he had last year. Now, barring he did have an injury, missed a lot of games. I believe he was on track for some off-season surgery this year, the neck issue, things like that. I understand there's growth and development that's needed. You got to have the proper training, things like that. But I'm saying to you guys, when I'm watching these cut-ups, shout out to Nick Filato with the cut-ups of John Michael Schmitz, I'm watching it myself. And every time I see a good play, I'm looking over and I'm peeking at Joshua Zoodle, and it's like, okay, that looks good. Oh, man, that looks bad. This looks great. Come on, man, you got to do better. And that's all day, all night, all game, me watching Joshua Zoodle. That's me back and forth. Like, that's good. That's not quite good enough. Come on, man. I need this line to be right. Right? I need this line to be right. All this anticipation for this New York Giants offense, this line has to be right. From Andrew Thomas to Evan Neal, this line has to be right. And especially in the middle. Now, again, John Michael Schmitz is John Michael Schmitz. Evan Neal, with the concussion, he got to snap out of that too, man. Speedy recovery, full recovery type. I don't want him rush back for anything like that, but I need to see these reps at the same time. But these guards, man, what is going on with these guards? I saw that we just worked out and signed a tackle, a guy named Julian Davenport, who I don't know really who he is. but he's in here for depth. And I know why he's here for depth. Is because look at the depth at tackle. Look at the depth at tackle. Corey Cunningham, Matt Pert, Tyree Phillips. Horrible jobs last week. Just, it's crazy when you think about it. When you bring in a guy like Bobby Johnson, you're excited because this guy is everywhere. He knows everything. If there's a pro day, he's working out the offensive lineman. And if it's the combine, he's working out the offensive lineman. He probably has the best grasp on the talent pool of these offensive linemen in college. He knows everybody. What needs to happen in order for this line to be solidified? All of these guys can't be that terrible. They can't be that terrible. I hope they can't be that terrible, because if they are that terrible, that means the scouting department needs to make some changes. But I'm just saying this because I'm so fired up. I'm so ready for this season. I'm looking at all the growth from Daniel Jones, the weapons that you added on the outside, getting Saquon Barkley back, getting a dominant center drafted, we hope. You know, Andrew Thomas, all pro, didn't make the top 100. That's another video. Y'all disrespected my man. He didn't make that top 100. That's disrespectful. But I digress. Evan Neal, you know, you pretty much think you have your bookends, but this line, we can only go as far as this line takes us. Now, Daniel Jones can be able to do some fantastic things, able to make some plays behind a bad offensive line. I understand that, but he shouldn't have to. Saquon Barkley shouldn't be dancing in the backfield just to get a yard. You know what I mean? So it's just very, very important for me, and I'm sorry for the rant, that we get this offensive line together. And you listen, this video went way off the rails. I wanted to talk about the practice recap. I wanted to talk about Kafka. I started talking about the offensive line, and all of a sudden I'm on a rant, and I do apologize for that, but still, like, comment, and subscribe. Okay, so they did make another roster move today. They picked up a linebacker, Ray Wilborn. Believe he played for Denver, had a couple of snaps, spent a lot of time on some teams' practice squad, spent some time on the Pittsburgh Steelers practice squad. And here's the thing about linebackers and the Pittsburgh Steelers. If I'm looking for a linebacker, I'm probably going to go to the Pittsburgh Steelers to find one, because they know how to find linebackers. Another thing that Pittsburgh knows how to do is find wide receivers, but right now we seem to be good at the wide receiver spot. But we picked up a guy named Ray Wilborn. Don't really know much about him. I'm probably going to do some research later on tonight to see exactly what this guy is about. Believe they said he was drafted in 2020. Like I said, bounced around a little bit, played on a few different practice squads. The offensive tackle, Julian Davenport, guy that has about, I believe they said he has about 30 starts in the league. That's pretty good, especially for, you know, what we're looking for. And I got to do a deep dive on him as well, just to see what's going on in that boat. But another good practice. And here's the thing, the practices have been awesome. I can't complain about nothing. There's really not much to talk about, because it's almost like beating the same drum as, you know, Daniel Jones had a good practice. Waller looks good. Campbell looks good. Wide receivers are doing what they need to do. The defense is also having bright spots, a couple pass breakups. You know, Banks this, Hawkins that, Adoree Jackson moving to. A lot of this stuff is repetitive. So I try to look for the jewels and keep that information, because I hate to sound redundant in all these videos. So that's going to be my recap of the day. Again, shout out to Wink Martindale, spoke today. Press is online. Go ahead and check that out. Kafka spoke as well. Go ahead and check that out. Adoree Jackson, special teams coach, McGahee, however you pronounce his name, addressed the stare from Brian Dable. And listen, I'm staring too. McGahee, whatever your name is, I'm staring too. You got to be better. The Scottish Hammer, more like the Scottish feather duster. I don't know. He got to get better too, man. A lot of these guys got to get better. And I'm sorry. You know what? I'm going to fall back. I hate to sound like I'm just complaining about everything, because it's just a few things that I'm complaining about. Overall, I'm excited for the season. That's without a doubt. I just see places where we can improve and wondering where or when that improvement is going to come. That's it. That's it. So I think, that's enough. I'm going to end the video here. I want to thank everybody for vibing with me. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Like, comment, and don't just be watching, man. I enjoy the views, but go ahead and subscribe, man. I'm trying to do something here. I'm trying to build something. The Giants community is a fantastic community of content creators. We all support each other for the most part, and that's the best way, for this community to grow. Whether it's social media, at the games, things like that, we all need to be able to support each other, have each other's backs, and build this community the right way. But again, I want to thank everybody for vibing with me. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And from one Giants fan to another, this is Big Dash Knows, Big Blue Nation. Let's go.